In Chapter 13, IT security policies implementations, we're going to go into the key aspects of implementing and enforcing information system securities policies. So our main learning objective is to gain a comprehensive understanding of the issues associated with ISS policies, implementation, and enforcements. So throughout this chapter, we're going to explore the key concepts that are essential for a successful policy implementation. We're going to start by discussing the simplified implementation process, which involves identifying the target state, gaining executive buy-ins, assessing the cost and impact, and aligning the policies with the organization's goals. Another vital aspect that we're going to dig into is the policy language. So we're going to explore the importance of clear and concise policy language to ensure effective communications and understanding of security requirements among employees. Furthermore, we'll explore development and implementation strategies for security awareness policies. These policies are going to play an important role in educating and engaging employees to adhere to security practices and mitigate risk. Lastly, we're going to address the common policy implementation issues that organizations often encounter and discuss strategies to overcome these challenges effectively. Now, three common technical hindrances to policy implementations are distributed infrastructure, outdated technology, and lack of standardization in the IT infrastructure. Distributed infrastructure refers to the challenge of enforcing consistent security policies across multiple locations and systems. So organizations need to establish a centralized management and control mechanisms to ensure the policy adherence throughout the distributed infrastructure. Now, outdated technology poses another obstacle as legacy systems may lack necessary security features or support. So upgrading or modernizing technology is essential to align with current security standards and effectively implement security policies. Also, the lack of standardization throughout the IT infrastructure can impede policy implementation. So inconsistent configuration and practices make it difficult to enforce uniform security measures. The organization should strive for standardization to ensure consistent implementation of security policies across all systems and components. Now, the target state of a policy is focused on reducing risk to the business. It outlines how the policy will be effectively minimize and mitigate risk to an acceptable level. By identifying and addressing potential vulnerabilities and weaknesses, organizations can proactively protect their assets and data, ensuring a more secure environment. Compliance is another critical aspect of policy implementation. So the policy should align with relevant laws, regulations, and industry standards to ensure that the organization remains in compliance. This is especially critical for industries that are subject to specific regulations such as healthcare, educational, credit card industries. So adhering to the compliance requirements helps mitigate these legal and reputational risks. The threat vectors refer to the various methods and techniques that attackers use or they may use to exploit vulnerabilities and compromise IT security. Policies should address these threat vectors by implementing preventive, mitigative, and detective measures. By identifying the potential threats and implementing appropriate security controls, organizations can reduce the likelihood and impact of security incidents. Now, when seeking executive buy-in for information system security policies, it is very important to address the concerns of the executives and provide them with necessary information to make informed decisions. The executives typically want to understand the level of commitment that is going to be required for from their team to implement and adhere to these policies. So this includes understanding the resources, time, and efforts needed to implement the policies effectively. The executives are also interested in understanding how the policies will impact the current business environment. This includes assessing any potential disruptions or changes that may occur during the implementation process and how the policies align with existing workflows and systems. They'll also want to know the value the policies bring to the organization. They need to understand these specific risks that these policies address and how they contribute to mitigating those risks. So clearly articulating the potential impact of not implementing these policies can help emphasize the value they bring in protecting the organization's assets and reputation. Executives are also interested in knowing how success will be measured and evaluated. So you want to identify key performance indicators that demonstrate the effectiveness of the policies and provide executives with tangible measurements of success. So this includes metrics related to incident reduction, compliance levels, employee training, and other relevant indicators. So the executive management sponsorship, this is something that's very important for the successful implementation of your information system security policies. So when executives actively support and endorse the security initiatives, it significantly increases user participation in security awareness training and overall compliance with the policies. So some of the key points related to executive management sponsorship. So when the executives demonstrate their commitment to information security, employees are more likely to recognize the importance of security measures and actively engage in security awareness training. So the executive level support, this helps foster a security conscious culture throughout the organization. Also, adequate funding is required to implement and maintain effective security policies and controls. Executive management sponsorship ensures that the necessary financial resources are allocated to support the implementation of security measures and address potential vulnerabilities. Effective communication for management is something that's also essential for promoting awareness of these policies and obtaining user buy-in. The executives should regularly communicate the importance of security, articulate the reason behind the policies, and emphasize their commitment to maintaining a secure environment. Finally, having support from multiple executives within the organization, this further strengthens the message and demonstrates a collective commitment to information security. This multiplies the influence and promotes a consistent approach to the policy implementation. Now, when you're implementing information system security policies, organizations may encounter non-technical uh, problems, hindrances that can impact the effectiveness of the policy implementation. So, two common non-technical hindrances that are distributed are the distributed environment and user types, along with organizational challenges. So, in organizations with distributed operations, such as multiple branch offices, remote employees, or geographically separated teams, implementing consistent security policies can be challenging. So, the decentralized nature of the environment may result in varying levels of security awareness, different technology infrastructures, and difficulties in enforcing policies uniformly across all locations. So, to overcome this hindrance, organizations need to develop a comprehensive strategy that includes clear communication, standardized policies and procedures, and appropriate technology solutions that can be developed and managed across the distributed environment. Now, different user types within organizations may have unique security requirements and challenges. For example, employees with a various levels of technological expertise, contractors, third-party vendors, and customers accessing organized organizational systems, they may require different access controls and security measures. So the organizations need to identify and understand their diverse user types and tailor their policies to address the specific needs while ensuring consistent security standards. This may involve providing targeted training, implementing role based access controls, and also regularly reviewing and updating user privileges. Now, implementing and enforcing the ISS policies, they can also be met with various organizational challenges. So these challenges may include resistance to change, lack of awareness about the security risk, competing priorities, limited resources, or insufficient support from key stakeholders. So overcoming these challenges require effective communication and education about the importance of security, the involvement and support from executive management, allocation of the appropriate resources, and collaboration among different departments and teams. So by addressing these challenges, organizations can create a culture of security and ensure a smoother implementation of the ISS policies. Now, when it comes to developing policy language for your security policies, there are several important considerations to keep in mind. The goal is to create a clear and concise policies that are easily understood and effectively communicated throughout the organization. So, some of the best practices for these policy languages is to ensure clear arguments on the target state. So, before drafting a policy, it is important to have a clear understanding of the desired target state. So, this involves identifying security objectives and outcomes that the policy aims to achieve. By establishing agreement on the target state, all stakeholders then can align their efforts toward a common goal. Your policy document should be written in a language that's easily understood by the intended audience. So you want to avoid technological jargon and complex terminology that may confuse the readers. You want to use simple and straightforward language to communicate the expectations and requirements of the policy. You also want to avoid imprecise language. So to prevent any confusion, it's important to avoid using that imprecise language, such as should or the word may, when specifying requirements. Instead, use language that clearly states what is expected, such as the word must or shall. This helps establish clear accountability and ensures that the policy is enforceable. You also want to clearly define the roles and responsibilities of individuals or teams responsible for implementing and enforcing the policy. You assign accountability to specific roles, such as the IT department, security officers, or designated personnel. You do this to ensure that there is a clear understanding of who is responsible for the compliance. You also want to clearly specify the scope of the policy by identifying the specific resources, systems, applications, and data to which the policies apply. This helps avoid any confusion and ensures that everyone understands the boundaries of the policy and what it is applied to. Also, instead of mandating the use of specific products or technologies, you want to focus on defining the security requirements and outcomes. This will allow for flexibility and adaptation of evolving technologies without being tied to a specific vendor or product. So, by focusing on the desired security outcomes, organizations then can choose the most appropriate solutions to meet their needs. The employee awareness and training, this plays an important role in the successful implementation and enforcement of information system security policies. So some of the key benefits and considerations relating to employee training include reinforcing the core organization values, opportunity for management to demonstrate support, opportunity for employees to acquire new skills. So the training programs focus on the policies, provide an opportunity to reinforce the core values of the organization regarding the security and risk management. So by emphasizing the importance of security in the workplace, the employees become more aware of their role in protecting sensitive information and upholding the organization's values. Effective employee awareness and training programs require the support and involvement from the management. So when the management actively participates in the training sessions and communicates their commitment to security, it sends a strong message to employees that security is a priority within the organization. So uh, this support helps to foster a culture of security and encourage employees to take their security responsibilities seriously. Now, the security awareness training programs also provide employees with the opportunity to acquire new skills and knowledge related to information security. By improving their understanding of security's best practices, employees become more effective in recognizing and mitigating security risks. Acquiring these skills not only enhances the organization's security posture, but it also contributes to employees' professional growth and job satisfaction. Motivation will play an important role as well in the successful implementation and enforcement of the security policies within the organization. So some of the key points to consider regarding motivation in the context of policy implementation is that management should establish clear expectations and hold the users accountable for adhering to the security policies. By enforcing the consequences for noncompliance, users are more likely to recognize the importance of following the policies and take their security responsibilities seriously. For security policies to be effective, they need to be accepted and perceived as valuable by the individuals who are expected to follow them. Users are more likely to comply with policies when they understand the value that these policies bring, such as reducing risk and protecting the organization's assets. So it's important to communicate these benefits and rationale behind the policies to gain the user's acceptance. The ultimate acceptance of security policies depends on demonstrating their effectiveness and lowering the risk to the organizations. Um, so when the users can see the tangible results, such as the reduction in the security incidents or successful protection of sensitive data, they're more likely to recognize that value of the policies and be motivated to follow them. And once again, the security awareness and training programs, these are extremely important. This is an opportunity to communicate the value of these security policies and motivate employees to actively participate in security efforts. So, by highlighting real world examples, explaining the potential risk, and demonstrating the impact of security incidents, organizations can increase employees' motivation to follow those security policies and contribute to a secure environment. Network access control. This is an essential component of an organization's security framework. It helps to ensure that individuals have appropriate access to the network resources based on their roles and responsibilities. Now, some key points regarding network access control in a couple different scenarios. When hiring a new employee or contractors, it's important to implement the network access control measures before granting them access to sensitive data or network resources. So this ensures that only authorized individuals can access the necessary resources based on their job requirements. And that can be integrated into the onboarding process where the access privileges are carefully provisioned and aligned with the individual's role. As individuals are promoted into significantly different roles within the organization, it's important to review and adjust their access privileges accordingly. The NAC should be utilized to ensure that users have access to the resources necessary for their new responsibilities, and their access is revoked from areas that there is no longer relevant to their previous role. So this help maintains the principle of least privilege and reduces the risk of unauthorized access. Now, regular and ongoing training is essential to reinforce security awareness and best practices among all users. Annual refresher training sessions. These can be conducted to update employees on the latest security policies, procedures, and technologies. The network access control can be part of that training program, highlighting the importance of adhering to the access control measures and emphasizing the role each user plays in maintaining a secure network environment. Now, after you have a major security incident, it is essential to conduct a post incident reviews to identify any gaps in education or awareness that may have contributed to the incident. So, based on these findings, targeted training sessions can be organized for all of the users that were involved. And you can use these to address the specific areas where the lack of education was noted. NAT can be used to reinforce as part of this training to ensure users understand the importance of access controls and its impact on overall security. And finally, when working with external vendors or contractors, access control should be defined in the contract or agreement. So the NAC measures should be established to grant appropriate access to vendors based on their contractual obligations and the specific resources that they may require. So this ensures that the vendors have only access to the necessary systems or data and helps mitigate the risk of any unauthorized access. Conducting security awareness training sessions, as we have said multiple times, it is very important to do these to educate the employees about the importance of the security practices and also equip them with the necessary knowledge and skills to protect sensitive information. So there are a couple different approaches you can go through to conduct the security awareness training. Classroom-based training sessions provide an opportunity for face-to-face interaction and engagement with the employees. The trainers can deliver presentations, demonstrations, and interactive exercises to ensure active participation and understanding. This format allows for real-time interactions, questions, and discussions among the participants, and it helps foster a collaborative learning environment. Computer-based training modules offer flexibility and scalability. It allows employees to complete training at their own pace and convenience. Computer-based training can also include interactive modules, quizzes, and simulations to enhance learning. It enables organizations to track completion and access the effectiveness of the training through online assessments. And feedback gathered from the training participants is valuable for evaluating the effectiveness of the training sessions and making improvements. So various methods can be employed for gathering this feedback. You can conduct anonymous surveys after the training session, and these can provide insight into participants' perceptions, the satisfaction, and their comprehension of the content. And it allows individuals to provide honest feedback without fear of repercussions. You can organize focus groups with a select number of participants, and they can provide in-depth feedback. These group discussions can also uncover additional insights, perspectives, and suggestions for improving the training program. You can conduct individual interviews with training participants, and that can offer a more personalized and detailed understanding of their experience, what knowledge they gained, and areas that may require further reinforcement. You can include questions related to security awareness training in exit interviews, and this can help assess the impact of training on the employees' understanding and adherence to security policies throughout their tenure with a company. Monitoring compliance with security policies practice can also provide valuable feedback on the effectiveness of the training. So incident response and security incident response mechanisms can help identify areas where additional training or reinforcement is needed. Analyzing incident trends and patterns that can guide an organization in enhancing the security awareness training and addressing specific areas of vulnerabilities. Now, to ensure that new employees receive security awareness training as early as possible and before accessing sensitive data, it is beneficial to include security awareness training as part of the new employee orientation process. And this is something that's typically managed by the Human Resource Department. So, some of the things to consider for HR ownership of security awareness training during new employee orientation. The HR should incorporate security awareness training as a mandatory component of the new employee orientation program. This ensures that all new hires receive the essential information about security practices, policies, and their role in safeguarding sensitive data from the beginning of their employment. HR should also prioritize security awareness training to be conducted early in the orientation process. So, by delivering that training on the outset, new employees can understand the importance of security from day one and apply the security measures in their work activities. Now, until those new employees complete the security awareness training, access to sensitive data and systems should be restricted. This ensures that the individuals have the necessary knowledge and understanding of the security policies before being granted access to potentially sensitive information. HR should also collaborate closely with the IT and security departments to develop and deliver the security awareness training content. So this collaboration ensures that the training aligns with the organization's security policies. It addresses current threats and covers essential topics that are relevant to the new employees' roles and responsibilities. HR can also utilize various different training methods, such as presentations, e-learning modules, videos, interactive workshops, and so forth, They can be used to effectively communicate the security awareness information to the new employees. Finally, HR should also emphasize the importance of continuous learning and reinforcement of security awareness beyond the initial orientation period. So, this can include providing resources, a periodic refresher training, and promoting a security conscious culture throughout the organization. Now, a review of the acceptable use policies. This is an important step in ensuring the employees understand and adhere to the guidelines for acceptable and responsible use of technology within an organization. So the AUPs, they serve as an important document that clearly define the expectations, rights, and responsibilities of employees when using company provided technology resources. So some of the things to consider when reviewing the acceptable use policies, they should provide a comprehensive and specific definition on what constitutes acceptable and unacceptable use of the technology resources. This should include outlining prohibited activities such as unauthorized access, malicious software installation, or engaging in illegal or unethical behavior. The AUP should also clearly state personal responsibilities employees have in safeguarding their own access credentials, such as the password or the account information. So, this emphasizes the importance of maintaining a strong password, regularly updating the password, and protecting sensitive login information. A critical aspect of the AUP is addressing the proper handling and sharing of sensitive customer information. It should clearly define the guidelines for protecting customer data, including restrictions on unauthorized disclosure, secure transmission methods, and adherence to privacy regulations. The AUP should also provide guidelines on the appropriate transmission of company information outside of the organization's network. So, this may include restrictions on sharing sensitive or confidential information through personal email accounts, file sharing services, and social media platforms. The AUP should also address the proper handling and protection of the company's intellectual property. This includes proprietary information, trade secrets, copyrights, trademarks. It should emphasize the importance of maintaining the confidentiality and integrity of such assets. The high risk behaviors that are outlined in the AUP, such as handling sensitive customer information or transmitting data outside the company, this should be included in security awareness training programs. So let's make sure that the employees receive a comprehensive education on the AUPs and understand the potential risk associated with non-compliance. Now, when it comes to educating employees about security policies and promoting awarenesses, organizations have the flexibility to utilize both formal and informal methods. So the choice of learning methods depends on various factors, including the organization's culture, the audience preference, and the nature of the information being uh, given out. So a couple of different things to keep in consideration when educating employees. The formal method learning methods, those involve structured and organized approaches to delivering security, training, and education. These methods may include conducting formal training sessions either in a classroom setting or through online platforms, utilizing interactive computer-based training modules, allow employees to learn at their own pace and track their progress. Informal learning methods, they focus on creating a culture of security awareness through the ongoing, less structured approaches. So some of these methods may include organizing informal sessions during lunch breaks or team meetings where employees can share their experiences, discuss security challenges, and learn from one another. It may be sending regular email communications with security tips, updates, and reminders to keep employees informed and engaged. Publishing security related articles, guidelines, and resources on the organization's intranet for easy access and reference. And it may also include distributing printed materials such as brochures, posters, or infographics that highlight key security practices and policies. Now, things to keep in mind with this, some considerations for the effective information. Consider the organization culture and communication preference from the employees. Some organizations may benefit from a more formal approach. Others may respond better to informal methods that align with the culture of the organization. Tailor the information delivery methods to the specific needs and characteristics of the targeted audience. So you'll consider factors such as job roles, departments, and the level of technical expertise. Also, you want to develop a well defined communication plan that outlines the frequency, channels, and the content of security related communications. So, this helps ensure consistency and helps employees stay engaged and informed. Now, implementing security policies, this goes beyond simply implementing technological controls. It also involves addressing the attitudes and perceptions of employees and changing the organization's culture to embrace the security policies. So the goal is not only to enforce compliance, but also to win the hearts and minds of the employees. Now, one key challenge in policy implementations is overcoming resistance to change and then fostering a positive attitude towards security. So this requires effective communication and education to help employees understand the importance of security and how it relates to their roles and responsibilities. So providing clear explanations and real world examples of the risk and consequences associated with non-compliance, organizations can help employees see the value in adhering to security policies. Also, changing the organization's culture is another critical aspect of the policy implementation. So, this involves creating an environment where security is seen as a shared responsibility and integrated into everyday practices. This does require leadership support. It requires ongoing reinforcement of security principles and recognition of employees who actively contribute to the secure work environment. Now, to implement policies in a way that wins the hearts and minds, organizations should consider a couple of different strategies. Maybe they provide comprehensive training and education programs that not only explain the policies, but also emphasize the significance and relevance to the employees' roles. You want to use real world scenarios and interactive methods to engage the employees and encourage participation. You want to develop a clear and consistent communication plan to keep employees informed about their security policies, updates, and successes. Use multiple channels such as emails, letters, newsletters, internet postings, team meetings, usually to reinforce key messages and address any concerns or questions. You want to engage senior leaders and managers to actively support and champion security policies. So their visible commitment and adherence to policies, it sets a positive example for employees to help establish that culture of security from the top down. Recognize and reward employees who demonstrate the adherence to security policies or contribute to improving the security practices. So this can be done through employee recognition programs, performance evaluations, or other incentives that reinforce the importance of security. And then you also want to establish a mechanism for feedback and continuous improvement. So you encourage your employees to provide suggestions and feedback on the policy implementations, and then consider their input in refining and enhancing the security policies. Another step for effective policy implementation requires addressing personal accountability, establishing clear directives, and enforcing the policies consistently. Additionally, organizations may emphasize the value of security policies, once again, to gain employee support and compliance. So the employees should understand that their personal accountability for following security policies. Includes being aware of the responsibilities such as protecting their passwords, handling sensitive data appropriately, and reporting security incidents. So, by fostering a sense of ownership and individual responsibility, the organizations can encourage employees to actively engage in secure behaviors. Clear directives should also be established in security policies to outline the expected behaviors and Actions. The policies should provide specific guidelines on what is acceptable and what is unacceptable and leave no room for questions. Enforcement mechanisms should also be in place to ensure that non-compliance is addressed promptly and consistently. So this may include disciplinary measures for policy violations, such as warning, retraining, or even termination in some cases. Once again, employees are more likely to embrace and adhere to the security policy if they understand the value that is provided by it. So these should be communicated. The purpose and benefits of these policies should be communicated to the employees. So demonstrate these security policies and how they contribute to a safer work environment and the overall business success can help employees recognize their importance. This will be done through the education and training, communication and awareness campaigns. Once again, continuous monitoring and auditing of the policies, make sure they're up to date. And then, once again, getting the feedback from the employees. Those are all crucial parts in keeping your policies up to date. The governance also plays a crucial role in ensuring effective implementation and enforcement of security policies. So it often involves establishing a governance and policy committee that's consisting of security teams and business side leaders to oversee the governance process. So this committee sets the direction for policy implementation, prioritizes security initiatives, and makes crucial decisions regarding security measures. Now, a well-defined governance policy outlines the roles and responsibilities of committee members, establishes the communication channels, and defines the decision-making process. So it ensures that the policies are actively used, adopted, and remain relevant in addressing evolving security threats. Now, in addition to governance, monitoring the effectiveness of the security policies is also very important. So it allows the organizations to identify and address potential vulnerabilities and risks promptly. A couple ways you can use to monitor the effectiveness of the security policy is to track the number of successful security breaches. This provides insight into the overall security posture. A decrease in the number of breaches over time indicates that the implemented policies are effective in mitigating the security incidents. Also, monitoring the number of security attacks and measuring the organization's ability to defend against them indicates the strength of the security policies and the controls that are in place. So this includes measures such as intrusion detection and prevention systems, firewalls, and security incident response and capabilities. Now, the best practices for IT security implementation. This includes educating end users, creating support, and then integrating the policy in day-to-day operations. As we have talked about, one of the key aspects of a successful policy implementation is educating end users about their policies and their importance. Once again, this is through policy training courses, security awareness training programs, where you talk about the policy guidelines, best risks, potential risks that can happen. And you want to regularly communicate and reinforce these policies through either a training session, newsletters, workshops, email reminders. You also want to build support for security policies. And this is something that is very important for the effective implementation. Once again, you engage stakeholders across different levels of the organization, including executive management, the department heads, and the IT team. You clearly communicate the value and the benefits of the policy, addressing potential concerns and emphasizing the role of individuals in maintaining a secure environment. Finally, you want to integrate the policy into the day-to-day operations. So you make sure the security policies are integrated as part of the daily operations and workflows. You embed policy requirements in the standard operating procedures, job descriptions, performance evaluations. You ensure that the employees understand how these policies relate to their specific roles and responsibilities. You integrate security controls and mechanisms into the technology infrastructure to enforce the policy compliance, such as access controls, encryptions, and monitoring systems. So in this chapter, we went through a simplified implementation process. We've talked about target states, how important executive buy-ins is to our policies, the cost and impact, keeping the policy language uh, precise and easy to understand. We looked at development and implementation strategies for security awareness policies, and then also policy implementation issues.